Hi, my name is Mattie Rhodes Haynes and I'm from Quiltsmart. I'm here in my friend Kathleen's sewing studio and I'm going to show you today how to sew, trim, and turn some of the little Marie Webster pieces that we find in these great quilts, like the American Beauty Rose, the tulips, and the flower basket. So some of the things that you're going to want to have is some great tools. And there's a selection here of tools. The purple thing is a great little pointer creaser. This is a slightly larger pointer creaser. Tweezers help sometimes to pull out little points. And so my seam ripper. My favorite, I think, of all of these is the Mosquito Hemostat. And I'll show you in just a few minutes how that comes into play. And of course you want some nice sharp scissors. So what we're going to start with is, this is the Calyx in the flower basket. It's a tiny piece and one of the tiniest in the Marie Webster pattern, so it can be a little bit of a challenge to sew. What you're going to do is you're going to start by taking and cutting open the little slit that's printed on the interfacing, just like that. And then you're going to put that with the rough side against the fabric, and now we're going to sew. Now when you sew, a couple of things that are good tips about that is you're going to want a nice small needle, like on a 10 or an 11, and you're also going to want to have a nice short stitch, like a 1.8, even a 1.6 isn't too bad. And what that does is, as you go around the curves, it will allow you to have you get like a much nicer, smoother curve, because it's not going to be real jagged like a longer stitch might be. One of the other tips to getting a nice smooth curve is to release the pressure on your presser foot. And you can see that on the sides of some of the machines. Different machines have it in different places. But you can actually change the dial so that the pressure is less or more. And by doing that, you can kind of glide around the line much easier. So right now, I am just stitching around with a very short stitch and stitching on the solid line. Don't be too persnickety about this either, because what you're making is a flower, and flowers all differed in nature. So take your time, enjoy the process. And normally what I would do at this point in time is I would stitch all of the pieces that I have here. But for brevity's sake, I'm going to just cut one off and show you how we can trim and turn that. So what we're going to do is just trim on the dashed line. And if you did not stitch on the solid line, just make sure, like say that you stitched a little bit off of the solid line, then just cut the same amount away so that you have a seam allowance, about like that. Now you're going to take that favorite tool, the little Mosquito Hemostat. These are used in surgery. A wonderful veterinarian gave me this. She was a quilter also, and she brought this to a show for me. So what you're going to do is go through the slit line. Without stretching the interfacing, you grab the fabric. Now this is where I'm going to grab each side of this and very, very gently work the fabric through the slit, as gentle as you can be. Then I'm going to take and go through the other side as well. Again, I'm grabbing the fabric only, not the interfacing, and very gently with my fingers holding it while I also gently pulling that little calyx out. And again, this is one of the most difficult pieces to turn. So you can see what I'm doing here. If you compare this to one of the bigger flowers, that would be a cinch, right? So keep in mind how many of these you have in each pattern. It's really not very many of the little tiny pieces. And just take your time. And also, while I'm poking out with the ends shut of this and just getting this out. But what you want to do is have it be only between the fabric seams. You don't want to be just on the interfacing, or it will rip. And you do that 1 or 2 times and you pretty much learn. Now, The calyx is looking pretty good. Right here, the interfacing has not been pressed. You want to give it a nice finger press. And one of the nice things about the hemostat is that this is a sort of a serrated edge there, and you can actually grip and give a little pinch there around the edge. So play with that a little bit and tuck that under, and you will end up with a very nice smooth piece that you can then fuse to your project.